welcome back from lunch. Great to have you here. I need to start out by saying I have my watch and I am a baby boomer. And I'll tell my staff that I'll try and text you before I call. And Amy, I'm never retiring. And in addition, is Mike Rush still with us? Mike, where are you? Stand up, Mike. Mike, those of you who don't know, Mike is a former executive director of the State Board of Education. He's former state administrator for career technical education, former ag program manager, and a former ag teacher. Retired now, but joining us. Please give us a hand for Mike. For all of the wonderful service that he's provided to Idaho CTE over the years. We very much appreciate him and his service. So, there we go. So the mission of career technical education, as you know, is to prepare Idaho's youth and adults for high-skill, in-demand careers. And we are excited about the progress and momentum we are making in CTE both nationally and in Idaho. For those who didn't get the message, the President did sign Perkins this afternoon. So Perkins 5 is now law. So we're excited about that. We're also extremely excited about the fact that it was a hugely bipartisan vote in Congress in support of CTE and Perkins, and we don't get that very much now in DC, and so we're in a sweet spot where everybody agrees that CTE is important. So give yourselves a hand. We believe the value of CTE is threefold. First of all, it connects students to real careers with great wages. It provides the talent pipeline for business, and it makes education meaningful through applied learning. Now, if you take that mission statement and those three value statements, you've got a great elevator speech. And for those in marketing know, an elevator speech is when you get on an elevator and someone asks you the question, what's CTE? By the time you get to the next floor, you got to have an answer that's meaningful and powerful. There's your elevator speech. And with 800 plus CTE teachers across Idaho, if we're all having that message communicated effectively on what CTE, that can have an impact. And so I would invite you to think through, if not this, other potent and powerful messages that we can use to communicate the value of CTE. This is a start. You can probably improve on it, but we think together we need to continue to build on the great momentum we've got, and part of that is becoming great ambassadors ourselves and improving our ability to communicate the value of career and technical education. So as we look at that from our perspective as a division, we basically looked at this from not only a career pipeline for students, but also a talent pipeline for industry. And within that focus, come up with three priority areas that we think are critical for our success moving forward. And we want to talk about those three focus priorities today moving forward. First of all, we need to attract more students into CTE. And that means we've got to do a much better job of communication with parents and with students, and with administrators, and with counselors, and with all of our stakeholders, with businesses, so they understand the value of the product that we deliver. But if we attract more students, that means we've got to have greater capacity to take care of those students within our programs, and that includes more teachers, and more money for programs, and more money for material and equipment, and we're working extremely hard on that with the legislature, and we're so pleased with the national level as well in getting support. But that takes effort and ongoing effort that we think we're getting great traction with the governor and the legislature as we move forward. And finally, we've got to continuously improve the quality of our programs. And all of these obviously go together. As we have quality programs, more students will be attracted to them, and we can communicate the quality and the performance of our programs to funders, and they'll give us more resources so that we can expand the quality and the quantity of those programs. So that all fits together in a package to make CTE successful as we move forward. Donna and Adrian, please come on up. Give a hand to Donna and Adrian.
All right, so as Dwight mentioned, improved quality is a component that affects the secondary and post-secondary levels. And it's really something that Donna and I have really been working on this past year. So we wanted to highlight the ways that we are putting a focus on program quality. And so as you can see on that screen there, funding and grants, our program quality managers, program restructuring and management, are just some of the changes that we want to share with you today.
Program quality is what we call our department at the division. We are technical assistants, we are professional development, we're here to serve you, our CTE teachers and faculty, so that you can in turn serve our CTE students. We've always been about technical assistance, and now, as part of our trying to help perform that technical assistance, we're also a part of focusing on program quality. We're about measuring quality in an effort to support programs and to support improvement and to help you. We believe there's something in career and technical education for all of Idaho students, something that can help direct their career path, or at a minimum, help them gain transferable skills that can help improve the quality of their future education and the rest of their lives. For certain, we do understand that our greatest asset is you, our teachers, and our faculty.
So to help you understand how we support our CTE programs, we wanted to share with you and just give you an overview of the funding that our agency is responsible for distributing and being accounted for. So this is a large job of the work that we do, and of course our program quality managers do. So this year we funded a middle school position, as Dwight mentioned earlier, but we don't expect to see that funding happen until 2021. So we're going to research, look at best practices, and so we see that in the horizon, but that's now going to be a component of CTE in the future. Our added cost funds at the secondary level are calculated based on our teacher FTE, and all of our high school CTE programs must meet those requirements to be able to be given those funds. Our CTS funds, or our career technical schools, are given funds for the outreach of more than one attendance zone, and there are greater demands on these programs than a comprehensive high school. Our IQPS grants are available to all our ag, food, and natural resource teachers, and our competitive grants. And our PQI grants, our Program Quality Initiative grants, were just given this past year. And so these are competitive grants as well, and are intended to improve program performance. So the future pot of this money will be divided between technical assistance as well as high performance awards. So again, this year I think we're really going to concentrate on those technical assistance grants to help programs improve in its measures in order to qualify for those high performance grants.
The Workforce Readiness Incentive Grant is real, even though it has dots all the way around it. And that is because it's not funded yet. So it is a part of the portfolio of grants that we will be offering. And if you were at the cluster pathway programs yesterday, that Steve and I did some work with, and looking at how we can measure those cluster programs a little bit better, the cluster teachers and the pathway teachers both will be eligible for this workforce readiness incentive. And it will be based on measures that students can perform basically on their outcome assessment. It will be paid like a bonus directly to the teacher. So this is not a program bonus or a district bonus, district grant, program money. It will be paid directly to the teacher. Now another grant you'll see up there is a one-time grant. We did this last year because of budget availability that we had at the division. We had some extra money that we could make available. It was quick, it was fast, it was furious. We tried to do the best we could to get those monies out there, but we had extra monies that we had to distribute. And when that time comes, when we have those extra monies, we will do those one-time grants for purposes of program improvement.
And so as you see on the left-hand side, or the right-hand side there, the post-secondary technical colleges are funded entirely through our state appropriated funds. So these cover the cost of CTE programs. You can see certs and degrees listed up there. This also includes the salary of those faculty and administration. In contrast, so keep in mind for our secondary teachers and programs, that funding comes from the State Department of Education, or SDE. Perkins, as you can see at the bottom, kind of crosses both secondary, even in the middle school, as well as our post-secondary. And so those grants help support the programs in those areas, as well as state correction institutions within the state. We also provide funding and support for adult education and GED. Our Centers for New Directions, which helps our single parents and our displaced homemakers, as well as the efforts to improve our non-traditional occupations within CTE. We do have regional transition coordinators that help with that go on into our CTE programs, as well as our workforce training. So we provide that short-term, flexible training to meet those local and kind of regional needs.
So we put the dollar signs up so you can see some of the approximate dollar amounts anyway for the allocations that we oversee and are accountable for. This really translates into the work that we do and are accountable for and are responsible for in the program quality department. It gives you the glimpse into our agency, our fiduciary responsibility to you, our programs, and to taxpayers, to the dollars that we manage.
All right, so we wanted to introduce our program quality managers, so some familiar faces that you may have seen over the past few years. So first is Matt Rill. He is our manager for trades and industry programs. This includes 14 pathways, and 3 of which are registered apprenticeship programs. We have Shauna Williams there in the center. She is our manager for business and marketing programs. This includes 8 pathways, 2 academies, and our business cluster programs. And then finally, Teresa Golis. She manages our family and consumer sciences and human services program, which includes 5 pathways and our FCS cluster programs.
This year we have 3 brand new program managers to introduce to you. Our first is Lucas Barnett. Lucas Barnett is the new program manager for agricultural, food, and natural resources. This program area includes 9 pathways plus the Ag Cluster programs. Lucas and his family joined us in June. A big move for them, coming all the way from Texas. He has a BS in animal industries and a master's degree in animal science. He worked as a production supervisor for Purina, and he was an ag teacher for several years before joining us. So welcome, Lucas.
All right, our next PQM is Stephanie Mai. Stephanie is our new manager for health professions and public safety. She also joined us in June, and she was previously the program chair for the past 6 years at the College of Western Idaho's Medical Administrative Support Program, and before that was actually a practice manager over at St. Al's. She has a degree in healthcare administration and master's degree in organizational learning and performance, both from Idaho State University. As we mentioned, we have now been funded for providing middle school programs. The first step of that was to get a program manager to oversee this work and to begin to develop what we're going to be able to offer at the middle school level. We have hired Jenny Bradford from Eastern Idaho. Jenny spent 15 years as a school counselor and 7 years as adjunct faculty. She served as department head, team leader at middle school levels and high school levels. She's also a certified work-based learning coordinator and a graduate of our own ICTE Leadership Institute. We're very happy to have Jenny, who has a BA in sociology and a master's in counseling and school counseling. Welcome, Jenny. And last but not least, we have Justin Touchstone. He is also a familiar face that you may have seen around. Justin. Justin is now in a new role with us, and we're really excited about that. He is now our senior program and quality manager. He still manages our engineering and technology education programs and IoT programs. It includes 6 pathways, our technology education cluster programs, and IoT. And Justin's position is really important for us because I think part of this restructuring is this positioning that helps create efforts in what we're doing at the secondary side as well as the post-secondary side. So when you think about program standards, program alignment, and really looking at the big picture. That's where Justin's position comes in, and really tying that connection and that pipeline from secondary to post-secondary. Finally, we wanted just to share about some program restructuring and management. And so how and when we can accomplish this work. You've noticed that some of the areas and the names of our PQMs, or program quality managers, may have changed, and they will change moving forward. These changes reflect our transition to be more balanced and equitable in our program areas and basically our workload for our PQMs. So whenever that's possible and it makes sense to group some of those programs together. In Justin's new role, as I mentioned, as our senior PQM, he'll be directing a lot of our program alignment initiatives, a lot of the work that we're doing at the secondary and that connection to post-secondary, but then also managing a lot of the workload that comes with administering our grants.
We've made these changes over great consideration about how we can work more efficiently and more effectively. These changes may affect you, they may not. They may affect the manager that you're used to working with, but it won't affect your program, it won't affect your program standards, your funding, your CTSO affiliation, or anything else that you have in place to offer a quality program. Even today, as you leave here and you go to a program update, just go with the program manager that you've always worked with. And as we make these transitions over this next year, and make some final decisions about how we're managing our programs and our work, if it does affect you, if it ends up that your manager will change, we will reach out to you. Your new program manager would reach out to you and let you know what that means for you and begin to develop relationships with you and your administration for a smooth transition so that we will be able to provide uninterrupted technical assistance to you in your program.
So finally, with our new people, we have a new team, a team of program quality managers who are invested in the success of you and your programs. When we all came on board together this summer, we twisted their arms, and mine too. I was not quite excited about going on the whitewater raft, but we spent the day together just really building a team, and this is what it looked like. And if you look at our personalities, Stephanie and I were very comfortable towards the back, managing and following directions. And you can see, Teresa and Matt are along for the ride, just having fun. And you see right front and center, Lucas, our new ag, on the bull, ready to go.
So talking about some of our other efforts that we've got going, Donna and Adrian, by the way, are doing an outstanding job. Would you please give another round of applause for their excellent work? Leading our program quality management team that we have. But we're making major efforts to try and improve, with your assistance, the image of CTE. We still have legacy mentality with lots of folks, unfortunately, that sometimes think that if you can't get it academically, then we're going to send you to the trade school or the technical school, and somehow that's second best or second rate. And we all understand that that's not true in today's reality of the high-skill, high-wage, high-tech jobs that are available through CTE. And so we're working on continuing to improve our messaging and working with you to improve that messaging so that we can change that reality for individuals. And part of that effort, obviously, will be our middle school effort that we're working on so that we can have a really great 7th grade career exploration program in the future. So as they get ready to have that 8th grade career plan that the State Board of Education mandates that every 8th grader should have, that they've got content and context in which to make those career decisions more effectively. Because when you ask most 8th graders, what do you want to be when you grow up? You get answers that are not connected to reality. So we want to change that for them and their families and their parents as they have those conversations. We're going to be doing a lot of research this year. We're really thrilled with Jenny. She just brings a wealth of experience to help lead that effort at the state level. But the legislation changed this past session where in code it used to be, before this year, that CTE started in 9th grade. And now that's changed as of July 1st so that we can start CTE in 7th grade. And so where appropriate, we'll extend the pathways for CTE as appropriate. We'll be exploring where that is appropriate. But the big key focus that we want to do is think through over the next couple of years, 2 to 3 years as we roll this out, how do we build a career exploration program at the middle school level that's really meaningful for our students that we can engage in. In addition to that, we also have a grant through Advanced CTE, a Siemens grant, that will allow us to do customized recruitment tools. We've identified 17 districts that are partnering with us across the state, both large districts and small districts, rural and urban, that we're developing this basically toolkit of how do we do a better job of communicating with students and their parents in a variety of settings, and then once we get those toolkits put together, we'll be able to share them widely across the state for you to use, and we're excited about that opportunity. The other thing is that we've actually quadrupled the number of positive news stories about CTE over the last year from the previous year. We want to continue to expand that. If you've got positive news stories that are happening in your district with your local news, or whether it's your paper or radio or TV stories, please share those with us so that we can add that to our portfolio and share those broadly across the state. We have great individual stories of success of your students, both at the post-secondary and secondary level, that we want to capture so that we can use those real-life stories of peer-to-peer and to parents so that they can demonstrate through actual videos of those individuals, as Matt talked about this morning, when they're exploring careers, that we can use that more effectively. At the state level, the State Board of Education, Department of Labor, Department of Commerce, us, a number of agencies are getting together to try to think through how we can do a more effective job at a state level to bring career exploration tools. We've got a whole bunch of them that are really good across the state, but if we can collect all those into a single portal so that we can use all of those resources and communicate how to get to those resources, we think it'll be a lot more effective. So we're working with that and moving that forward as well. We talk about our funding resources. Donna and Adrian talked about the budget that we administer, but we're working very hard to increase capacity as we move forward. As a matter of fact, over the last 4 years, the legislature has increased our budget by over 23%. In a conservative legislature, getting that kind of support from the governor and the legislature is really a wonderful thing that we're really excited about, and we're going back this next year with another major increase between 7.5% and 8% additional increase for this coming year that we're requesting. So keep talking to your legislators. That's all great to communicate the value and show them your programs. That's all very helpful as we talk to our legislators and make sure they understand the value and quality. And one of the great things is we can show a wonderful return on investment for those tax dollars that are invested, because we've got students that really can use those skills immediately in going into high-wage jobs or going on to post-secondary and then on to high-wage jobs, so that's great. At the post-secondary level, we'll be asking for another $2 million increase for our FY 2020 in targeted program. That's the 4th round of targeted post-secondary CTE funding. We got $1.7 million last year from the legislature in expanding post-secondary CTE funding. At the secondary level, as you know, we had $300,000 in our program quality incentive grants that we were able to fund this last year. The legislature doubled that, so this coming year we'll have $600,000 to be able to distribute in program quality incentive funding, and we'll be asking for an additional $400,000 this coming legislative session, so we'll have $1 million in program quality initiative funding, hopefully moving forward. We're excited about that opportunity. In addition, we're continuing to expand offerings with our partner, Idaho Digital Learning, to expand online CTE as well, and we're excited about moving forward there. Lastly, we understand that we can't expand programs without great quality teachers, and we have a significant CTE teacher shortage, so we're moving forward. You noticed this morning I introduced our brand new teachers. We have 2 different sources of teachers for CTE, through our academic colleges of education and from the private sector, where we recruit people who've been in the private sector for a lot of years and then bring them into the teaching profession. And now that we launched last year and moving ahead again this year with a process, a cohort model, where people coming from the private sector into the CTE teaching profession can do so without any out-of-pocket expenses, where they have an intensive week this week in August before they start the school year, and then one Saturday a month in their region where they get just-in-time customized training with a mentor that comes in and visits them and gives feedback 4 times a year. They repeat that for the second year, and then they've got their standard occupational license in 2 years' time. We think it's a much better onboarding process. We've gotten lots of good positive feedback from the participants this first year, but as administrators and other teachers that work with those new teachers, if you'll continue to provide us feedback so we can improve that process, we'd very much appreciate it. We're working on continuing to improve our performance metrics and how we measure quality performance moving forward. So as you know, we've identified specifically our technical skill assessment, our workforce readiness assessment, and our CTSO participation rate as our three base metrics for our program quality initiative for those technical assistance grants, and then hopefully in the future, not only technical assistance grants, but also for our incentive grant process there, so that we can actually look at those metrics and then continue, like we did yesterday, have opportunities where we can build teacher and learning communities where we bring together both post-secondary and secondary faculty together in a program area, sit down, look at those results, see how can we improve and have that kind of dialogue and that kind of learning community that we think will be extremely valuable and effective for you as teachers. So we're excited about that. Donna mentioned our Program Readiness Incentive Grant. This is a new piece of legislation that was passed but not yet funded. So we'll be asking for an initial $400,000 request in this coming legislative session for FY 2020. And we hope to design a program specifically to reward CTE teachers that are delivering pathway and cluster programs who are doing all of that additional work that you do with skill stack badges and creating positive results for students, preparing them for college and the world of work. And so we want that to go back directly to teachers that are performing at a high quality level based on those metrics. So we're excited about that new program, and that ties in very closely with our alignment efforts to make sure that we continue to align horizontally at the post-secondary level, at that first semester level, learning outcomes at our post-secondary institutions, so we can take those learning outcomes, communicate that vertically down to our high school teachers and say, if you will teach to these learning outcomes, your technical competency credit will transfer to any one of the 6 technical colleges across the state. So that is a major effort that we've got to continue to increase our go-on rate of high school CTE students into post-secondary CTE programs. So we're excited about those efforts. Lastly, just to wrap up, I want to talk about just some great things that are happening statewide, and I'm not going to, this is just a high-level touch on just, we have so many terrific things happening in each one of your regions in CTE with the momentum that's building, that we're just thrilled with all of the wonderful work that you're doing and that we get to do with you. That middle picture is a picture of Carl D. Perkins. So we just got the president to sign that legislation, so that's extremely helpful at a national level to make that happen, and again, with an overwhelming bipartisan vote. Actually, it was by voice vote at the end, so there was no opposition to reauthorization. Of course, that's the great news. The bad news is now we've got a lot of work to do to redo Perkins 5. It, by the way, is called, the official name, just so you know, Strengthening Career and Technical Education for the 21st Century. That's the name of the act, but basically everybody calls it Perkins number 5. It's the 5th time it's been reauthorized since 1963. But nevertheless, you'll notice down here on the left bottom corner a picture of the new facility at NIC, their technical college. It has a beautiful new facility that's right next to the technical high school, K-Tech, in North Idaho. It's just beautiful new facility, wonderful engagement with business and business contributions to make that facility happen. It's right next to the technical high school. Students can walk across the parking lot and engage in post-secondary. They've got lots of synergy going on between post-secondary faculty and secondary faculty, the use of equipment back and forth. It's just a wonderful model. So I was sitting there at the ribbon cutting ceremony at that facility, and by the way, the ribbon cutting ceremony was terrific. They had a chain between 2 semis, and they acetylene torched it. It was a great thing. They had picture the Coeur d'Alene Press took a picture of it. It was above the fold, front page picture of that ribbon cutting with that torch. It was just really terrific. But I was standing next to President Tony Fernandez, who was president at Lewis Clark State College, and I swear I literally saw a light bulb go off on the top of his head as he was standing there saying, we can do this in Lewiston. And sure enough, that left top picture is an architectural drawing of the new technical college at LCSC they've already got groundbreaking on that they're building right now. And the Lewiston School District passed a bond after years and years of not being able to pass a bond for a new high school, with CTE leading the way as the point of the spear to pass that. They passed the bond to build a new high school, and the critical component of that will be a technical high school built into that that's going to be right next to the LCSC Technical Center up on the bench there at Lewiston, so you'll have that same synergy going on in Lewiston that you have at NIC. Just wonderful model. And sure enough, over at Pocatello, ISU has made major investment in renovating. That's that building that you see up there on the right top, the Ames Center, named after a wonderful individual who contributed millions of dollars because he believes in CTE and ISU, but they're renovating a facility to be a wonderful new career technical center there. It's right on the freeway. They're going to be able to move all of their program, or most of their programs up from lower campus into this beautiful new facility that's going to have huge increased capacity for students. And the Pocatello School District school board members took a trip up to Coeur d'Alene, saw what was going on at K-Tech and NIC, and now they're thinking about, well, we got to build a career technical high school in Pocatello right next to the Ames Center in Pocatello. Just wonderful synergies going on. Of course, I hope you're all aware of the fact that we have a new community college in Idaho Falls. Eastern Idaho Technical College is now the College of Eastern Idaho. They passed that bond to create that community college with 71% of the vote in Bonneville County. I'm from Idaho Falls. I know how difficult it is to get taxpayers in Bonneville County to pass a school bond. To pass that with 71% of the vote is just huge for the momentum, and that people see, taxpayers see the value of career technical education, community colleges, and what we have to offer. It's just thrilling. And then College of Southern Idaho, they're doing great things as well, but one thing that I want to just highlight there is the fact that they've partnered with Minidoka and Kasia school districts and 3 businesses in the food processing industry to create a school-to-registered apprenticeship program in those 2 school districts in conjunction with CSI. That's just a wonderful opportunity. And they actually had a signing ceremony for students that are going into this school-to-registered apprenticeship in the schools with their parents and the students and the employers and the superintendents of the school districts. I got Galen Smyer over here, that's school superintendent from Kasia. But they just did an outstanding job there as a model that we need to replicate all across the state. And I see Linda Clark back there. Linda, wave your hand as our president of our State Board of Education. Thank you for your leadership on all of these efforts. We really appreciate all of the work that you're doing. So with that, my last slide, there is Governor Moses Alexander, who signed legislation on March 4th, 1919 that accepted the Hugh Smith Act in Idaho and started vocational education, career technical education in the state. So this coming year, we get to celebrate 100 years of CTE in Idaho. And what a wonderful momentum we've got to build on for the next 100 years of CTE in Idaho that we're just thrilled about.